Hey everybody, Pete Bombaci from the GenWell Project going live with little Carol King today. You've got a friend, certainly something that's relevant in these challenging times. Making sure that we all know that there's somebody out there for us to connect with and that can keep us happy and healthy as we move forward. Philip Klassen, it is so great to see your name. I've been thinking about you the last couple weeks, and I would love to get on a call with you, my friend, and check in and see how you're doing. Maybe we can sing You've Got a Friend when we get together, because certainly something that I think your fine vocal cords could handle quite well. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Today we're speaking with Lori Germain, who is an amazing lady who started up a business a while back, Discerning Seniors, which is about supporting families in transition with elderly parents who are trying to move into assisted living and helping people through that journey. And we really wanted to have a conversation and see what's happened in Lori's world and in her business over the last little while, because obviously COVID is having an effect on many. As we listen to a little bit of You've Got a Friend, because I think it's so relevant to what's going on in the world and to the work that Lori does. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm trying to figure out, okay.
Perfect.
There you go. This is a first for me on Instagram. And now you're all sort of pixelating.
I'm sure it may not be perfect all the time, but we'll figure it out.
No worries.
I'm getting a little bit of an echo, but hopefully that'll disappear with the technology stuff as well. So,
okay. Well, is it because I'm in a, okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, how's your day going?
Good. Busy. Yeah. We've been brainstorming on our newsletter and figuring out what our next topic's going to be. So it's good. It's a good day.
And would you come up with, what's your topic?
Our topic is actually going to be technology, and looking at it, how it can assist in a senior's life, in the day-to-day life. And we're trying to, I guess, turn things on their head a little bit, because often we look at, we fear having technology in lives of senior, because we fear that it's going to take away from that human connection. And what we want to do is, explain that a lot of the technology that's being developed right now is about helping with the more menial things that, that we wouldn't need another human being to do, in order to be able to concentrate on that connection, and how the connection should be the most important thing between humans, especially as we age. We want to be able to maximize that time and minimize the maybe less, personal,
digital,
or, the more mechanical things. Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting conversation, because I think, and I've often said, when technology first came out, we only thought of the good things. We didn't think of the negatives, or at least the things that, Silicon Valley now refers to as the unintended consequences. Nobody foresaw people passively scrolling through social media feeds for, 6 hours a day. But yet, and I have a deaf sister. So whether it's a senior or somebody with some type of disability, there's so much opportunity with technology. And that's why the GenWell Project has never been anti-technology. It's really about finding the balance and using technology for all the good things that it offers.
Well, and really for enabling us to spend more time together, more quality time together, if you will, instead of, struggling with so many things that can, become, especially as we age, or if we're born with, some more challenging needs, that you can use technology to offset those challenges and sort of stay connected, with humans as you go on. So it's a really interesting thing, because often media will sort of focus on, when you look at sort of, let's say, robots in senior homes, will they take the shape of a pet, or, or there have been movies where, people have a robot that takes care of them, and then that robot becomes humanized, and that's the whole sort of issue. But really, if you think of the fact that you can open your door with your key fob instead of putting the key in the door, like, it made life a lot easier, and we don't really think about it. And yet, and we appreciate that. That's kind of how this kind of technology could be viewed. Does that make sense?
Okay. I feel like we're going to get into more technology as we chat as we go forward. But right now, what I'd love to do a quick little introduction, Lori, and then we'll I'll introduce you, and then we'll continue into our conversation about, discerning seniors, and COVID-19 and the impact it's having on so many of them.
Yeah.
So if you'll give me a minute and a half, I will. I'll come back to you and we'll get started.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Okay.
Hey everybody, Pete from the GenWell Project. We're a human connection movement that since 2016 has been reminding people about the importance of face-to-face social connection to their health and happiness, and most importantly, inspiring them to take action. Up until about 14 weeks ago, we tried to catalyze people around a couple times a year to give us all the excuse and the permission to get connected. One of the things that most of us weren't making the time for, mainly because we didn't realize or understand the importance of it to our health and happiness. Now we're living in a pandemic, and I believe many of us are waking up to the importance of human connection in our lives like never before. And maybe we may not even take for granted some of those relationships that were there and around us each and every day before, that we may look at a little bit differently on the other side of COVID-19. Connected Conversations is a series of conversations that we launched as COVID-19 got going, in order to connect people with ideas, thoughts, tools, and people who can help us cope through these challenging times and help us build the resilience that will help us get to the other side of this in the happiest and healthiest way possible. Today, we are lucky to have Lori Germain, the president and co-founder of Discerning Seniors, somebody that I've known for a very long time, and somebody who, walked away from what I will call the corporate world to find her place in making a difference in the lives of seniors and those that are looking to support the elderly and their families. And from a bio standpoint, Lori has enjoyed a successful career in the advertising and promotions industry in both Montreal and Toronto, culminating in a partnership at Encore Strategic Marketing as Vice President, Client Services. Through her experience in marketing, Lori developed the ability to assess and understand a challenging situation quickly, and with her team, develop a plan that offers a solution. In 2002, Lori left the marketing world to focus on growing her family, raising 2 children, and becoming involved in school and community events and planning. As with many of us, Lori's parents and her husband's parents were aging and required many care interventions. Lori oversaw the care of her mother-in-law and worked with her own mother to care for her father. Drawing on this experience, Lori recognized the need the sandwich generation and their parents would have for services like Discerning Seniors. In partnership with her former colleague, Ira Baptiste, that founded Discerning Seniors. Lori, it is so great to have you here, and I'm excited for the conversation for so many reasons, and thanks for making the time.
Well, thanks for having me, Pete. I really appreciate it, and it's nice, to connect with you.
Of course. Isn't this the wonderful thing that when we actually get connected for whatever reason, it's really nice to see people's faces. So
it is.
I'll tell you, one of the reasons that I'm excited to have this conversation is earlier this week we were chatting about young people and the impact of COVID on them. We've had some workplace mental health conversations. So we all recognize that our seniors are lonely and isolated and feeling disconnected right now. And it's something that I think is top of mind, but I think also the work that you do is slightly different, because it's not about being in the senior's home, but actually about helping people transition from home potentially to a senior's home, or, maybe finding the facilities that will help them stay in their home, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really work as the best way to explain it is kind of a rent-a-daughter, where we kind of come in and assess the situation and do a lot of the work that mostly, not always, but mostly women have been doing for a long time in terms of, you know, finding solutions for their parents and finding the best whatever it might be to fit their needs. So we don't really kind of do anything of the stuff ourselves, but we work with an enormous network of service providers that we match with our clients, because often it's a little bit difficult for people to get started on this front. You know, we all know that we're aging, and we all know that many times aging comes with some challenges, but we don't really talk about it very much, and we kind of wait for a crisis. And we've given ourselves the mandate to sort of open up that conversation and really deal with the situation at hand, so that we can you know, address the problems or challenges the best way we can, so that people can focus on continuing to have relationships that are not all based in problem solving.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally
Yeah.
makes sense. You know, again, the GenWell Project, our mission is to be a preventative and a proactive step in keeping people happy and healthy through human connection. And so, you know, as even John Tory said in an interview that, or we did some videos with John a year and a half ago, and he said, look, we can no longer keep waiting until people are in crisis before we help them. And, you know, whether that's parents that are trying to deal with, you know, adults trying to deal with elderly parents, whether that's with our kids or whether that's with ourselves, wouldn't it be great if we all took proactive steps to help each other as we were going through this journey? And I can understand the situation, you know, two working parents, you're trying to keep your kids going to school and deal with their challenges. You're trying to keep your job afloat, and your parents are getting older and you want to put time into them, but you're struggling. Is that kind of the situation that you see most of the time, Lori?
It definitely is. It's really people who, first of all, it's really hard to know where to start, right? And starting and getting that conversation on the table is one of those difficult situations, because it's a conversation that nobody wants to get to a point where you're parenting your parents. And the parents don't want it, the kids don't want it, and it makes everybody uncomfortable, because you know, it makes us face a reality that nobody really wants to talk about. But if you have that conversation with somebody who's been through it 100 times or more, and we really look at it as though we're just looking at individual challenges and addressing those, so that time can be spent with your family that is not, again, about problem solving, where we're not, you know, worried, or you don't leave mom's house worried that she's going to leave the stove on, or it's all just talked about, and it's out in the open, and there are solutions for every problem out there. It's just a question of finding the right people who can help you, and that's, you know, and that's what we do.
And my other half does she's a consultant in the innovation space, and I know is doing some work in the seniors world. And I think the stat is 70% of seniors wait until there's an incident in their home, so a fall, a spill, a burn, something, before they actually take action. And wouldn't it be great if we could be a little more proactive and not have people hurt themselves before they could take another step?
Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great to just kind of change the mindset to getting older is something we do, not something that happens to us. So if we're doing it, then we need to plan for it. We plan for everything else in our lives, everything except the one thing that we absolutely know is coming.
Yeah.
You know, like we spend more time planning birthday parties than we do our latter years, and we just kind of hope that something will be okay, right? That everything will work out. In some cases it does, and people are very fortunate. In most cases, people need a little extra help, and that's okay. They've earned it. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
okay. And we have to get out of this mindset of shame, and shame that it's shameful to ask for help. And that's a big challenge with a lot of the people that we work with, because they're a very strong population, and they've built this country, and they don't need any help, and anything is like a sign of weakness, but it's really not. It's just a sign of, maturity and intelligence. And there are amazing people out there who are doing incredible things for seniors. And once you've built that scaffolding, people often say to me, well, I don't know why I waited so long. I've wasted so much time this way. I should have just dealt with it.
I'm going to stop for a second because I forgot to do what I love to do at the start of everything, but I do want to come back to that point. But we always need to check in the people we're actually talking to, because right now we're living in a world where the caregivers need the oxygen mask as well, Lori. So before I go any further, I want to see, how are you doing during COVID-19?
You know what? I'm doing pretty well. I'm actually, I'm a homebody. I work from home too, except when I'm going to see clients, which is less and less. So I don't mind it. I find the biggest challenges have been like, I have 2 teenagers, and that's hard for them to be kind of isolated from their friends. I think a lot of kids benefit from routine, and that routine was kind of messed up for several months. So that was kind of hard, but we try and handle it with laughter and humor, and trying to talk about what those issues are. And again, not hiding and trying not to have a lot of shame around struggles. So that's, kind of how we're trying to handle that. So yeah, but yeah, it's absolutely challenging for a lot of people, for sure.
I think it's a great comment, and I think that laughter and, again, this is Maslow's hierarchy, the sense of belonging, and that you're not in this alone, and that we're all in this together. And frankly, to your last point, we're all struggling in one way, shape, or form, whether it's homeschooling, whether it's cooking 3 meals a day, whether it's trying to work at a home that you've never done before or off the side of a kitchen table, whether it's financial pressure, insecurity, or the big one for all of us is, when is this going to end?
The unknown. And, for that, I find that, there's a lot of stuff that we can't control in all of this. So because, a lot of the reason why I got into this business is because I'm a nester. I like to nest and make things comfy. So the focus that I try to stay on is to make the best of the current situation in the way it is, and not sort of wait for things to be all okay so that everything goes back to normal. It's just make the best of where you are right now. And also Stephen Colbert.
A lot of Stephen Colbert.
He was on holiday for 2 weeks, and boy, did I miss him. So any opportunity to giggle at that, I jump on that. Stephen Colbert, Trevor Noah, you name it, I'm on it. Those are my drugs.
And they got a lot of content to work with right now with what's going on in the world.
Yes.
So
that's true. Yeah. Yes, they do. They certainly have a lot of material.
So when you talked about earlier, and thank you for that insight to your own journey, because I think it's so important for people to recognize that even those that are the helpers, they're struggling as well. They got challenges in their family, whether it's themselves or their kids or their spouse or their relatives or seniors, So we are truly all in this together, and it's great to hear that. So to your point about getting seniors across the line, I think one of the things the pandemic has done is kind of awoken us to what's really important, and how work, as one example, which many of us have built our our being around who we are at the office, and we recognize that
Mm-hmm.
it can come to an end overnight. Maybe we weren't valuing our seniors for the wisdom and the insight that they could provide, and maybe COVID might have a difference that will, reconnect seniors to their families, to the love, to the care, to the beauty that makes them feel that any step that's being encouraged is not about, we just want to get you out to a home, and that it's actually, we're doing
Oh
this
yeah.
because we love you and care about you and want you to be safe.
Well, I think actually COVID has obviously brought out a lot of what has been going on in seniors' lives, and I think there's one. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of horrible, tragic situations, but there have also been there has been a light that's been shown on personal support workers, which they are the undersung, like overlooked, underpaid heroes of a lot of day-to-day lives. And because their value is enormous in terms of being the people who can be there all the time,
Yeah.
and being able to develop that connection, which is why so many of these incredible people go into this job, is that because they do love that human connection, but because of the way the system is largely created, especially the long-term care facilities, they're not able to do that because of the sheer volume of work and the way that things are funded, et cetera. So if anything has happened, at least there's been a light that has been placed on that situation where these people really are heroes, and their care and commitment to many of them. I'm not saying everybody, there's always some issues, but a lot of the people who become personal support workers are truly incredible. It's really a vocation. It's not just a job. Like you have to want to be, you really have to want to help people in the most basic and human way possible. So it's really good that at least we've come to recognize their role. And in terms of structure and actual facilities also, I mean, it's terrible what has happened, and there is a need for a huge shift in how everything is done. And and we have to find a way to stop just cutting and warehousing people.
So
I
to
mean,
that,
that's just wrong.
so to that question, then, discerning seniors before COVID-19, you were trying to help people who were looking to make sure their parents were safe and sound, whether it was at home or in a retirement residence. How has
Yep.
your role changed? Like, what has COVID-19, what are the additional complications? I'm assuming nobody's moving into a senior's home right now. Like, what are people doing?
Not right now. Well, right now, a lot of it. Well, I have to say, some of the retirement homes are they're cracking open a little bit. They're allowing visitors, family, very structured, very highly managed. But yeah, really, the last few months have been just locked down. So what we did do was scaffold people at home as much as possible. Part of the reason why I think sometimes in certain situations we advocate for people to maybe move to a retirement home, and there's a big difference between long-term care and retirement home. Retirement home is more of an apartment with extra help, and a long-term care facility is it's an extension of a hospital. So the retirement homes is because there's like easy built-in socialization, face-to-face socialization, and that's kind of why if somebody is alone a lot of the time, we kind of encourage them to go have their own place in an environment where they'll be around other people instead of being alone. So a lot of people have wound up alone, and that's very hard. So phone calls and phone calls and phone calls,
Yeah,
that's what we've had to shift over to.
So,
because not everyone's online either.
do you think as much as safety, and although I guess anybody who's moving into a retirement home, then based on the separation between long-term and retirement, is probably pretty mobile, probably still able to function in most ways. So is it really about building community? Is that what long-term care, and how important is social connection in that experience of going into a to a retirement home?
Well, I think it's the primary reason why you would go into a retirement home. Of course, there's services and there's a simplification of life that allows you to focus more on fun stuff, right? Instead of worrying about who's going to shovel your walkway or take out your garbage. All that stuff is taken care of. So that's kind of nice. So you're simplifying, so you have more time to play bridge or whatever it is you like to do, take cooking lessons. There's an enormous amount of activities in a lot of these residences, and they're more like floating, cruise ships than they are.
Can I move in early, Lori? Can I get on?
I know. Like there are a few of them that are. I'm okay with someone else doing my laundry. Yeah. Can I just say that right up front? But or cooking for me, but especially now. But yeah, so I mean, I think there's a different mindset, and a lot of people don't understand the difference between these, right? These two. Yeah. So they kind of equate nursing home, which is really what a long-term care facility is. And a long-term care facility is really about extended care, right? So it's kind of it's pretty high care people and people who need a lot of assistance. And there are, again, some amazing places for that. But yeah, that's more about care. But retirement homes are more about community, I believe, and getting together and having some fun.
And it's funny because I've done some speaking at some retirement homes, and I always love standing in front of a group of seniors and talking about human connection, as we often refer to the fact that most of us were never educated on this. So even they are they're surprised by the facts, but they always knew that the times that they felt best were when they were surrounded by people.
For sure. I know. And loneliness is an incredibly toxic thing in terms of, not having, like not sharing. And people feel so much better when they realize they're not alone going through anything, right? Yeah. Everybody, that sense of isolation can have a very, very quick toxic effect. And I think that, opening that up and having, in bridge and cooking and art classes and hairdresser appointments and, in some cases bowling, all of these things, exercise classes, these are all on site in these places. So you can't help but get together. There have been more than a few pretty rockin' pub nights in some of them as well. So I remember rolling up to one retirement home, and there were these two women who were sitting there. It was like 2:00 in the pub. They were sitting there, and they each had like a big glass of white wine, and they were killing themselves laughing, and they were sitting there and having the time of the, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty good to me. You know, I'm just gonna go pick up my kids at school,
Maybe, and I'm gonna throw something at you. I had two relatives that were in retirement homes, and one of the things that I think we need to chat about, which I think it's not against everything that you're saying, but it actually is just a compliment. And that is, they found building relationships in a new seniors home to be very challenging. And because, the staff can't be a brother or a sister or a neighbor that they've known for 50 years or a friend. They can support them. They can be kind and generous. But I think one of the things that maybe some seniors fear is the fact that out of sight, out of mind. And maybe where some of the fear comes from, because, what we need to recognize, I think, as human beings and as family members, is that just by putting your loved one in a senior's residence doesn't mean your job is over.
Absolutely not. No. And you see, and again, it's very dependent on individuals and what their preferences and needs are. It's
Yeah.
not made for everybody, and it never takes the place of family and friends even. So and whether it is in long-term care or you have a loved one in a retirement residence, your responsibility and your need to connect with them, to continue being a part of their lives is absolutely crucial. And you know what? I think, and also it is our responsibilities to be advocates for
Mm.
all our. So you have to, and just because the way the world right now, the squeaky wheel does get the grease, right? So let's not be afraid to squeak
Yeah.
plenty and make sure that our loved ones have what they need at all times. And just because of human nature, you could be the best place in the world, but human nature, if somebody sees a very involved family, they're going to take notice, and you'll just be top of mind. You and I have been marketers, Pete, for a long time. Like, it's about repetition and making a mark and spreading that message, and on and on and on and on. So you stay top of mind, the more present you are. And this is the big, Germain family, they're coming to visit, da 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 again. And, and you build that presence up as much as you can so that people notice, right?
Yeah.
And we all have to do that together.
And, and really when I founded the GenWell Project and the concept of our 2 GenWell weekends a year, our goal was to be a catalyst. We were living up until 14 weeks ago in the most fast-paced, distracted, and pressure-filled world in history. And many of us were forgetting to go see our seniors as often as we either should, or even as much as we would like to, but we just get so caught up and rushing and racing and schedules for our kids and trying to keep our jobs going. And then we forget about the ones who actually helped us get to where we were. And I don't think any of us want to do that. And sometimes, and this was what our weekends were all about, was about being a catalyst that would actually say, hey, stop for a second. Who is it that would
Yep.
benefit right now from your outreach? Is it going and spending 30 minutes with your grandparents? Is it 30 minutes with your elderly mom? Is it, your aunt, your uncle, whoever? Pick up the phone, go see them, book an appointment, whatever the case may be. And I think,
Yep.
again, the pandemic is, putting it right in front of us.
I think
Those,
in some ways it's a gift, right? In
yeah,
some ways it's a bit of a gift because it has allowed us to slow down and realize what's important and to really observe, because when you're treading water all the time, you don't have time and you don't have the energy to look around.
yeah.
But this has forced us all to kind of stop and once we all got through our bread baking phase and our puzzle making phase, then we could sort of we could stop and realize what it is we can do. We were talking about this earlier on when we were having our meeting on discerning seniors, and we were saying, what's going to happen, like how I think that what's going to happen is that people are going to come up with problem solving ideas and processes that will help us live better lives. All of us live better lives. And I think and we're realizing that whether it's through something like this kind of connection, or in-person connection, God willing will be soon, all of like, this is what's kept us alive, right? This is what's kept us sane, is having these conversations and talking and seeing each other, or just hearing each other, right? So it's how do we duplicate that and include more and more people, so
Yeah. There's no
and
question,
that's what I know, that's what you do, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah, and human connection,
Right.
in caveman times, we needed each other because the saber-toothed tiger was a tough one to take on by ourselves. You know, in the World War, you know, part of the inspiration behind GenWell was my mom through the Second World War, who said the only way people survived was by coming together in their communities. And this is probably the toughest challenge our generation has ever had. And I think an interesting thing is that we haven't been able to come out of our homes and really come together and say, look, we're in this together. We're saying it virtually. We're talking about it. We're sharing it on social, but we're missing that ability to actually come together as human beings and hug and high five and kiss and, you know, do all the things that make you realize that you're not in this alone.
Right, right. And, you know, and I think that
Lori,
the challenge will be to continue this. No, the
yeah,
challenge
for sure.
will be
And
to
hopefully
continue doing this and
learn.
finding ways that we can, you know, because I know I miss that one-on-one with our client, because that's so much of what we do is like face-to-face, bespoke, you know, okay, let me into your life and let me help you sort it out. You know, let me help you figure all of this out. And so I do miss that. I get to do it with the kids, our clients' kids, because they tend to be online. But I have a lot of clients who are not at all online. So, you know, it leaves a hole. So. Yeah.
So Lori, how can people find out more about Discerning Seniors? Where should they go to find out more?
Well, they can go online at discerningseniorsinc.com, all one word, or they can call us at 416-546-4886. And my email is lori@discerningseniorsinc.com.
That's awesome. I've got a couple more things before we go. And I think it's really about, it's about looking to the future. And so, you know, you're a parent, you've got elderly parents, you've got a couple kids. We've come to the other side of COVID-19. And again, this is hypothesis because none of us know what the other side of this is going to look like. But let's assume there's a vaccine. What do you think changes in that transition phase as people get older? Are we going to change our perspective on what our seniors can provide for society, for our own families, for communities? Or are we going to continue down this path of being so busy that we don't have time to connect and, you know, really outsourcing them to other caregivers because we don't have the time? Where do you think we go?
God, if I knew that. My hope is that we've learned a bit of a lesson in terms of what's important, and you know, regardless of what society will be sort of putting on us, we'll carve out enough time to maintain those relationships in a way that that provides the, you know, what I find, one thing is that we don't realize what we don't, as the sort of the next generation to get older, us, we don't realize what we can learn from the people who are already there. For some reason, we don't take that time to listen to them and those stories, and you know, and so that sort of forces us to repeat history, and if we don't learn from them, then we repeat it. And so I would love to be able to find a way to integrate generations together. Before COVID, we were planning on having these events, these sort of dance parties with seniors, like all ages. You know, when you go to Europe or like Scotland or Ireland, you know, a lot of people, like the whole family is there, right? Here we divide up. I would like to kind of change that and have everybody having a party together. You know, you and I, Pete, come from a background of having lots of parties, and given our prior careers. And so to bring that, instead of focusing on young, edgy, whatever, blah, 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 I would like to kind of make that multi-generational, because I really think it's a much healthier way of living. And if we can create those opportunities for us to all get together, then you know, then the day-to-day stuff, and we look forward to something, the day-to-day stuff works out well, you know?
Well, I couldn't
And
agree
so
with you
that's
more.
the,
Part of the inspiration of GenWell was about generating wellness amongst generational wellness. So,
yes.
you know, maybe it's about using our GenWell weekends as the catalyst. The next one coming up, third weekend of September, I can't remember what the date is right now, where we want to
Okay.
just, again, be the reminder for people, hey, you need human connection in your lives, both with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues, your elders, because we are all happier
Everybody.
and healthier when we're maintaining our connections.
Yes,
Okay, so
definitely.
I've got
I agree.
one last question for you, and that is, when this is all over, when we have a
Yes.
vaccine, when we get
Yes.
out and get to live the life that we're missing right now, what's the one thing, what's the first thing that you want to get to do?
I think I'd like to throw a dinner party
And who would
with
come?
people other than the ones that I've been with.
Yeah.
They can come too.
I've had enough
I
of
want to
that.
get my friends together.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I said, I've had enough of those people. I need some new people in the house.
Yeah, I need a little new, like I need some new face. No, they can come too, but we just won't sit at the same end of the table.
Yeah. I think I don't think your thoughts are out of the norm. I know that Don Mayo over at IMI has done a lot of work on what people are missing, and it's
Yep.
very clear that what we miss the most going through this pandemic is our friends, our family, our neighbors, our colleagues, and the experiences that we have, which is breaking bread, going out to bars, you know, going to see a sporting event. So
yes.
I
Going to
think
the movies, going to plays, going to concerts, all of those things that we kind of would even take for granted, right? And now they're like, oh my God, I can't wait to see them. So yeah.
Somebody said to me
So
yesterday, Pete, was the pandemic the greatest thing that could have ever happened to the GenWell project? And I said, I hate to say this, but it does seem to have raised people's consciousness about how important human connection is. So
yes, yes, definitely.
but
Yeah.
Lori, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for giving us a little insight to the work you do at Discerning Seniors, and also just to the challenges that people are facing before COVID, and actually where we're headed after COVID. Because I think more people are going, I hope we become more conscious of the value of our seniors, but we know there's still going to be a lot of people who need the support of organizations like Discerning Seniors to help wade their way through all the information and options that are available to them.
Yep. And I hope people start having this conversation a lot more openly. Yeah, I do. Thank you so much, Pete. It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time, and thank you for doing what you do, and stay safe, stay healthy, and don't forget to stay connected, because that's what we need more than ever.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Bye, Lori. Ciao for now.
Bye.